Hey there! Welcome to Better Bloom, where we share knowledge and level up your whole self through amazing books. All right, bookworms, gather round. Before we dive into today's literary adventure, a quick favor. If you're feeling this review and want to support the author, grab a copy of the book. I've dropped a link in the comments and description below. Every little bit helps keep the bookish world spinning. Now, let's talk about finding your own rhythm in 2023. That's the big idea simmering in today's review, straight from the classic section of my bookshelf. We're diving headfirst into Walden, or Life in the Woods, by none other than the American writer, poet, and philosopher Henry David Thoreau. Okay, so here's the thing. Thoreau was times not times about following the crowd. Back in 1833, this bright young thing got himself into Harvard. In his spare time, instead of chasing grades, he was penning essays and getting them published, just for the sheer love of it. He devoured books, but wasn't interested in walking the same well-trodden paths as everyone else. He was determined to carve his own trail. Thoreau was alive and kicking during a time when America was hustling, a real go-go era of economic boom and industrial progress in the 19th century. Everyone was caught up in the rat race. Some folks were killing it, riding the wave of opportunity and raking in the dough, becoming the big shots of the day. Others were sticking to the family business, plugging away, maybe not getting rich, but keeping their heads above water. And then there were those who just couldn't keep up. Folks who had to bail on the race and head back to the farm, or those who, no matter how hard they tried, just kept falling further behind. A lot of people probably looked at Thoreau and thought, bless his heart, that man's never going to amount to anything. After graduation, he gave journalism a shot, but his editor wasn't feeling his vibe. He tried running a private school with his brother, but that went belly up. Then he joined the family pencil-making biz. And you know what? He was actually pretty darn good at it. He innovated, created a new kind of pencil that was all the rage, and could have made a serious pile of cash. But Thoreau? He decided, nah, this ain't for me. He couldn't stomach the idea of grinding away at the same old job day in, day out, just to chase the almighty dollar. He wasn't interested in the fancy house or the gourmet meals if it meant being shackled to a life he didn't love. So, while everyone around him was getting richer, Thoreau was getting, well, not so much. He couldn't even afford his rent sometimes. And whenever anyone tried to give him the "you should be more like so-and-so" speech, Thoreau would fire back with, "I would rather sit on a pumpkin and have it all to myself than be crowded on a velvet cushion." Or, "I'd rather take a slow ride on a rickety ox cart and be free than be chauffeured to paradise in a luxury car, choking on the fumes of obligation the whole way." For Thoreau, life wasn't about one-upping the Joneses or measuring yourself against the crowd. Real happiness wasn't about achieving some cookie-cutter version of success. It was about finding your time's rhythm, your time's beat, and dancing to it. And that's why he became Henry David Thoreau, the writer, poet, naturalist, thinker, pioneer of transcendentalism, and philosopher of nature and humanity's connection to it. He's one of those rare American writers from the 19th century who still resonates with readers worldwide. So, at 28, when most folks were chasing that paper, Thoreau said, "Peace out." He borrowed an axe and headed out to the woods by Walden Pond. He chopped wood, built a cabin, tilled the soil, and soaked in the beauty of that pond. He lived there, solo, with just his axe and his own two hands. Every day, walking home from the woods, he'd hear the meadowlarks singing their hearts out. In the winter, he'd gather firewood. By spring, he had his cabin framed. He spent his savings on lumber, and slowly, patiently, and mindfully built himself a home. For 2 years, he hung out with the mountains, the stars, the birds, the pond, and the fish. His thoughts soared in the quiet of nature, in the simplicity of life, and finally, they crystallized into the masterpiece we know as Walden. A tranquil pond, a self-built cabin, surrounded by trees, the sound of birdsong. Thoreau's Walden life has captivated readers around the globe. Walden has left its mark on American literature, on social movements like the counterculture and anarchism, and on countless modern folks who are yearning for a simpler, more peaceful existence. He famously said that people had become the tools of their tools. He also said if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. Life's a marathon, not a sprint, and everyone's running in a different direction, at a different pace. Some people get off to a flying start, some are late bloomers, some live a pretty average life, and some drop out of the race early. Dreams, talents, ideas, luck, all these things can set you apart. You're never going to be perfectly in sync with everyone else. You can't move in lockstep with the whole world. If you're constantly obsessing over how far you've come or how much you've got, you're going to lose your own rhythm. Just run your own race, live at your own pace, and you'll be able to weather the storms and reach new, beautiful places in your life. Finding your own rhythm is the key to perseverance. When Thoreau arrived at Walden Pond, he was facing a mountain of challenges. First off, how was he going to survive in the wilderness? He was working his tail off, chopping wood and hauling stuff from dawn till dusk, but he was broke and didn't have time to grow crops. He was basically living on cornmeal and purslane. The locals kept telling him he was crazy to live out there, that no one could survive without bread and pork. But Thoreau proved them wrong. He showed them that he could thrive on cornmeal and weeds. But the real test for Thoreau wasn't starvation, it was winter. The Walden winter lasted 3 or 4 months, and on those snowy days, his little cabin was freezing cold. But he found ways to get through it. He'd trek through the snow-covered woods, drag back old logs, burn them day and night, and plaster the walls with clay. During those long, solitary nights, he stayed in his rhythm. He wasn't panicking or impatient. He wasn't bothered by the noise of the outside world, and he wasn't about to give up in the face of hardship. Whatever you choose to do with your life, you're going to face challenges. The key is to cultivate a strong heart, to stay calm, and to find the courage, the grit, and the perseverance to keep walking your path. Step to the music only you can hear. In Walden, Thoreau shares a vivid story. One summer morning, he was drifting in his little boat on the still pond. He rowed to the middle, laid back, and fell asleep. When he woke up, the pond had pushed his boat back to shore. He said his heart was as free as a bird. Even though life at Walden was tough, Thoreau experienced a peace and joy he'd never known before. Every day, he had visitors from nature, a gentle breeze carrying the scent of flowers, a shy little sparrow, a goofy rabbit who'd lost its way. Whenever Thoreau walked into the woods, he felt a primeval, powerful life force awaken inside him. And when night fell, he'd hear the distant lowing of cattle, the barking of dogs, the wind, and the flowing water. This symphony of nature kept him from feeling lonely, even when he was all alone in the dark. In Walden, Thoreau writes, with palpable emotion, that his heart was free and that joy and happiness filled his little house. In that state of freedom, Thoreau started to meditate, to contemplate philosophy, to observe the world around him, and to explore the true nature of his inner self. He also read a lot, wrote a lot, and met many insightful people. His days by the pond were a time of transformation. He wasn't a failure, someone who'd achieved nothing, and he wasn't a hermit hiding from life out of bitterness. He was a person living life to the fullest, like a tree sinking its roots deep into Mother Earth, but never forgetting to gaze up at the vast sky. Thoreau's story reminds me of something Haruki Murakami said: "What matters is that you yourself are convinced that you are proceeding in the correct direction. To have doubts is fine, as long as you eventually set aside your doubts and move on. Whatever the world says, trust your gut. No matter what others think, don't break your own rhythm." The things you love will come naturally. The things you don't won't last. Only by doing what you love can you find real, lasting happiness. If you're always copying someone else's life, even if you succeed, you won't feel real joy, you won't find meaning, and you won't find freedom. You need to know yourself, you need to see your own heart, to ignore the noise from the outside world, and to chart your own course. One reader, after reading Walden, wrote to Thoreau saying he wanted to follow in his footsteps and live alone in nature. Thoreau flat out refused, telling him that everyone should follow their own heart and live as their unique selves. That's the whole point of the book, to inspire everyone to become their own Columbus. Columbus explored a new continent, and you need to discover your own land, to live and experience your own world. No two leaves are the same, and no two people are exactly alike. Only by walking your own path can you live a happy, meaningful life. As someone once said, the best things happen when you're not expecting them. So don't rush, keep pace with yourself, and keep moving forward one day at a time. Thoreau only lived by Walden Pond for 2 years. I'm sure some people wonder if he eventually gave up on his own rhythm. But Thoreau explained that he left for the same reason he came. He wanted to experience more of life and didn't want to spend any more time on that one experience. It's easy to slip into a routine without even realizing it. It's easy to get stuck in a rut. If you get too comfortable with success or your current life, you're likely to repeat the same old patterns. The earth is covered in the footprints of countless people, and the paths of thought are just as worn. The great roads of the world are dusty and trampled. The marks of tradition and convention run deep. In Thoreau's experiment, he discovered that if someone boldly pursues their dreams and tries to live as they imagine, they can achieve unexpected success in their own life. You don't have to follow in the footsteps of someone else to succeed. You can take a different path and live the life you truly want. Why lower your standards to live with dull thoughts and repetitive tasks, calling it fitting in and saying it's what you should do? Why jump into a job just to chase success, fame, or money? Someone said that anything you do just to make a living isn't worth wasting your life on, and I think they're right. The truth is, if you're constantly struggling to keep up with your peers, it might be because you're hearing a drumbeat that isn't yours, that you're trying to satisfy someone else's needs. Those footsteps are often the result of conformist thinking. We put all sorts of labels and symbols on everything around us, but in the end, only truth matters, and only truth can stand the test of time. The truth is the answer to one question. Are you really happy with your life right now? No matter how humble your life is, you need to live it to the fullest, to live well in your own rhythm. Don't run away from it. Don't complain or whine about it. No matter how hard it gets, pour your passion into your current life. Even if you live in a small space, you can find joy and light. As Confucius said, don't be too eager to find growth. And don't rely on external forces. It's all useless. Wealth can only buy the superfluous, but the necessities of the soul can be bought without money. Walden is sure to spark different emotions in everyone who reads it. We don't need to agree on everything, and we don't need everyone to approve. But if you're feeling resentful or dissatisfied with what you have, if you're stressed about what you want or what you're trying to achieve, or if you don't know what to do next, I believe that if you immerse yourself in the original text of this book, you'll find a tranquil Walden Pond for yourself. Finally, the last sentence of the book has given me a lot to think about. Thoreau writes, "Only that day dawns to which we are awake. There is more day to dawn. The sun is but a morning star. In the notes, the morning star is likened to a guiding light." Thoreau hopes that for the rest of our lives, we can all discover a new direction in our own rhythm and experience a completely different life, because life isn't about how much you have, it's about what you experience. I hope we can all break out of the rut, find what we truly love, and live well in our own rhythm. This video is being made in the spring, a time when we're opening a new chapter. So I hope that the first thing we do this year is to truly understand ourselves and to really begin to dance to our own rhythm. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel Better Bloom for more heartfelt book reviews. And hey, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. Did this review resonate with you? What's your favorite quote from Thoreau? Let's chat. And remember, keep blooming, bookworms. All right, bookworms, gather round. Today, we're diving deep into the swirling depths of a story that might just make you question everything you thought you knew about beginnings, endings, and everything in between. But first, a little favor to ask. If you find yourself even remotely intrigued by what I'm about to share, please consider grabbing a copy of this book. Support the author, support the craft, and let's keep these amazing stories coming. I've dropped a link down in the comments and description for your convenience. Every little bit helps keep the literary world alive and kicking. Okay, let's get real for a second. Have you ever felt stuck? Like you're walking the same old path, hitting the same old potholes, and just generally feeling like you're on repeat? Yeah, me too. More often than I'd like to admit. That feeling, that nagging sense that there has times to be more, is what this book tackles head on. This isn't your typical self-help fluff, folks. We're not talking about rainbows and unicorns and suddenly manifesting $1 million. This is about something much more profound, much more human. It's about the quiet revolution that can happen within us when we decide to ditch the script and write our own damn ending or beginning. The beauty of this story lies in its raw vulnerability. It's not afraid to get messy, to explore the uncomfortable truths about our lives, the expectations we carry, and the fears that hold us back. It's like sitting down with a dear friend who's willing to share their own struggles, their own triumphs, and their own hard-won wisdom. And honestly, who doesn't need a friend like that? I found myself highlighting passages like crazy. Seriously, my copy looks like it survived a highlighter hurricane. There were just so many nuggets of truth that resonated deep within my soul. Moments where I felt seen, understood, and dare I say, inspired. The author doesn't shy away from the tough questions. They challenge you to look inward, to confront your own limitations, and to ask yourself what you really want out of this crazy, beautiful life. And let me tell you, that's not always an easy process, but it's a necessary one. What I particularly loved was the emphasis on finding your own rhythm. We live in a world that's constantly bombarding us with messages about how we should be living, what we should be doing, and who we should be. This book is a gentle reminder that the only person you need to please is yourself. It's about tuning out the noise and listening to the beat of your own drum. It encourages you to embrace your imperfections, to celebrate your unique strengths, and to trust that you already have everything you need within you to create the life you desire. And isn't that a comforting thought? Now, I'm not going to lie, there were moments where I teared up a little. Okay, maybe more than a little. This book has a way of sneaking up on you and hitting you right in the feels, but in the best possible way. It's the kind of book that stays with you long after you've turned the final page. It's a reminder that it's never too late to start over, to rewrite your story, to create a life that's authentic and meaningful to you. And that, my friends, is a message worth embracing. If you're feeling lost, confused, or just plain stuck, I highly recommend giving this book a read. It might just be the spark you need to ignite your own personal revolution. It certainly was for me. Remember, folks, life is a journey, not a destination. And sometimes the most beautiful destinations are the ones we stumble upon when we least expect it. So, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep searching for your own unique rhythm. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Better Bloom, for more heartfelt book reviews and discussions. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and tell me what you think. Have you ever felt like you needed a fresh start? What steps did you take to create a new beginning for yourself? Let's chat. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Until next time, happy reading. And remember, you've got this. Keep blooming.